poor student's journey to success. Everyone laughed at the boy who walked to school in torn shoes. His classmates mocked his faded clothes, his empty lunchbox, and the fact that he often studied under a streetlight because his family couldn't afford electricity. But years later, those same people watched him step onto a stage to receive one of the highest honors in his profession. This is the inspiring story of a poor student who refused to let poverty define his future. David Carter was born in a small town where opportunities were scarce and dreams often seemed impossible. His family lived in a tiny one-room house with a leaking roof and cracked walls. During heavy rains, buckets were placed around the room to collect water dripping from the ceiling. His father worked long hours as a laborer, while his mother cleaned houses to earn a few extra dollars. Despite their efforts, there was barely enough money for food, let alone education. Many nights, the family shared simple meals and went to bed hungry. Yet even in those difficult circumstances, David's parents taught him a valuable lesson. Education was the one thing nobody could take away from him. From a young age, David understood the meaning of hardship. While other children spent their afternoons playing games, he often helped his parents with work. He carried heavy bags, cleaned yards, and performed small jobs around the neighborhood to support the family. Life was challenging, but David developed a strong work ethic that would later become one of his greatest strengths. Every struggle taught him discipline, patience, and resilience. School became David's sanctuary. The classroom was the one place where poverty did not completely determine a person's value. There, intelligence, effort, and determination mattered. David quickly fell in love with learning. He was fascinated by books, numbers, science, and history. Each lesson opened a new window into a world far bigger than the one he knew. Education became more than a requirement. It became his pathway to freedom. However, being poor brought countless obstacles. David often lacked basic school supplies. While his classmates carried new backpacks filled with notebooks and pens, he reused old materials whenever possible. Sometimes he wrote notes on the backs of discarded papers because he could not afford fresh notebooks. He felt embarrassed when teachers asked students to purchase materials that his family simply could not afford. Yet, instead of using poverty as an excuse, he learned to be resourceful. The challenges extended beyond supplies. Every morning, David walked several miles to school because his family could not afford transportation. During winter, he endured freezing temperatures. During summer, he walked beneath the scorching sun. Some days, exhaustion tempted him to stay home, but he knew that every missed lesson could push him further away from his dreams. No matter how difficult the journey became, he continued showing up. As he grew older, David became increasingly aware of the financial struggles surrounding him. He noticed how stress weighed heavily on his parents. Bills piled up on the kitchen table. Conversations about money often ended in silence and worry. Seeing their sacrifices motivated him even more. He promised himself that one day he would create a better life for his family. Middle school introduced new difficulties. Many students came from wealthier families and enjoyed privileges David could only imagine. They had computers, private tutors, and comfortable study environments. Some even mocked David's appearance and background. Their words hurt deeply. There were moments when he questioned whether he truly belonged among them. Self-doubt crept into his mind, whispering that success was reserved for people with advantages he would never have. One evening, after an especially painful day at school, David sat alone outside his house. He stared at the stars and wondered if his dreams were unrealistic. At that moment, his father sat beside him and shared words that would remain with him forever. He said, "Son, your circumstances may decide where you start, but they do not decide where you finish." Those words became David's guiding principle. Inspired by his father's wisdom, David began approaching challenges differently. Instead of focusing on what he lacked, he concentrated on what he could control. He could control his effort. He could control his attitude. He could control his willingness to learn. This shift in mindset transformed his outlook on life. High school marked a turning point. David understood that academic excellence could lead to scholarships and opportunities. He created a strict daily routine. He woke up before sunrise, reviewed lessons, attended school, worked part-time after classes, and studied late into the night. His schedule was exhausting, but he remained committed to his goals. Because his home lacked a quiet study environment, David often visited the local library. It became his second home. Surrounded by books and knowledge, he felt empowered. He spent countless hours reading about successful people who had overcome adversity. Their stories convinced him. One particular biography had a profound impact on him. It told the story of a businessman who had risen from poverty through determination and persistence. David realized that nearly every successful individual had faced setbacks. Failure was not the opposite of success. It was part of the journey. This realization strengthened his resolve whenever difficulties arose. Despite his dedication, David experienced setbacks. He occasionally performed poorly on important exams. Sometimes he felt overwhelmed by balancing school and work responsibilities. There were nights when exhaustion reduced him to tears, yet he refused to quit. He understood that success was not built through perfection but through persistence. A teacher named Mr. Thompson noticed David's dedication. Unlike many people who focused on David's financial circumstances, Mr. Thompson recognized his potential. He became a mentor, offering guidance and encouragement whenever David needed it. He often reminded David that talent was important, but consistency was even more valuable. With Mr. Thompson's support, David participated in academic competitions and leadership programs. These experiences expanded his confidence. For the first time, he began seeing himself not as a poor student but as a capable young man with limitless potential. As graduation approached, the pressure intensified. College tuition seemed impossible for someone in David's financial situation. Yet he refused to surrender. He applied for every scholarship he could find. The process required countless applications, essays, and interviews. Rejection letters arrived frequently. Each rejection stung, but David kept going. Months later, his persistence paid off. One afternoon, a large envelope arrived in the mail. His hands trembled as he opened it. Inside was a letter informing him that he had received a full scholarship to a prestigious university. Tears filled his eyes. His parents embraced him as they celebrated one of the greatest moments of their lives. College presented an entirely new set of challenges. Many students came from privileged backgrounds. They possessed experiences and resources David lacked. Initially, he felt out of place. Imposter syndrome followed him into classrooms, dormitories, and social events. Yet he remembered his father's words and continued moving forward. Determined to succeed, David immersed himself in his studies. He attended extra lectures, joined student organizations, and sought internships whenever possible. He understood that opportunities rarely appeared on their own. They had to be pursued aggressively. Financial difficulties persisted throughout college. Even with a scholarship, he needed money for living expenses. He worked multiple part-time jobs while maintaining excellent grades. Sleep became a luxury. Free time became rare. Yet every sacrifice brought him closer to his dreams. During his second year, David encountered a significant setback. A family emergency forced him to consider dropping out. Medical expenses strained his family's finances beyond their limits. For several weeks, he struggled with uncertainty. The future he had worked so hard to build seemed in danger. Rather than giving up, David sought solutions. He met with advisors, applied for emergency assistance programs, and increased his work hours. The experience taught him a crucial lesson. Resilience is not the absence of problems, but the ability to adapt when problems arise. Over time, David developed a reputation for determination and excellence. Professors admired his work ethic. Employers valued his reliability. Fellow students respected his perseverance. Opportunities that once seemed impossible gradually became reality. By his senior year, David secured a highly competitive internship with a major company. The position provided invaluable experience and opened doors to future employment. For the first time, he could clearly see a path toward financial stability and professional success. Graduation day arrived sooner than expected. As David walked across the stage to receive his degree, memories flooded his mind. He remembered the leaking roof, the long walks to school, the hunger, the rejection, and the countless nights spent studying under difficult conditions. Every hardship had contributed to this moment. Shortly after graduation, David accepted a full-time position with the company where he had interned. He worked diligently, constantly learning and improving. His commitment soon earned promotions and increased responsibilities. Year after year, he continued advancing in his career. Success did not arrive overnight. It was built through thousands of small decisions made consistently over time. David never forgot the lessons poverty had taught him. He remained humble, disciplined, and grateful. As his financial situation improved, he focused on helping others. He established scholarship programs for underprivileged students and mentored young people facing challenges similar to those he had experienced. He believed that true success involved lifting others as you climbed. One day, David was invited to speak at his former high school. Standing before students seated in the same classrooms where he once struggled, he shared his journey. He explained that success was not reserved for the wealthy, the connected, or the naturally gifted. Success belonged to those who refused to quit. He told them that obstacles would appear. People would doubt them. Circumstances would test them. Failure would visit them. But none of those things had the power to determine their future unless they allowed them to. The students listened attentively as David described the importance of persistence. He emphasized that greatness often emerges from ordinary individuals who continue moving forward when others stop. Dreams become reality not through luck but through consistent effort over long periods of time. Years later, David became a respected leader in his industry. Awards and recognition followed, but he understood that the true reward was not wealth or status. The true reward was proving that his circumstances did not define him. Looking back, he realized that poverty had given him valuable gifts. It had taught him resilience when life became difficult. It had taught him gratitude for opportunities others took for granted. It had taught him empathy for those facing struggles. Most importantly, it had taught him the power of determination. David's journey serves as a reminder that success is not determined by where you begin. Many people spend their lives believing their limitations are permanent. They allow circumstances, fear, and doubt to control their decisions. But history repeatedly shows that extraordinary achievements often come from the most unlikely places. Every successful person faces challenges. Every dream encounters obstacles. Every goal requires sacrifice. The difference lies in the willingness to continue despite difficulties. Those who persist eventually discover possibilities that others never see. The poor student who once walked to school in worn-out shoes became living proof that perseverance can transform lives. His story demonstrates that education, discipline, and determination remain among the most powerful forces in the world. No matter how difficult your current situation may be, remember that your future has not been written yet. Today's struggles do not determine tomorrow's results. Every step forward matters. Every lesson learned matters. Every effort matters. The road to success may be long, lonely, and challenging, but it remains open to anyone willing to travel it. Like David, you may encounter rejection, hardship, and moments of doubt. Yet if you continue moving forward, one day you may look back and realize that the obstacles you feared were actually the stepping stones that led you to greatness. And that is the true lesson of a poor student's journey to success. Your circumstances may influence your beginning, but your determination can transform your ending. Never stop believing, never stop learning, and never stop moving forward. The future belongs to those who refuse to give up.